Hi guys, my Patreon has been up and running for a few weeks now. And one bonus of being a supporter is you can request future videos. And so, several weeks back, a few new Patreons requested a video on what is probably the most obscure Lost Oasis song of them all. A completely unknown and unheard mysterious song from the Morning Glory era called The Red, White and Blue. So I've spent a few weeks digging to try and find out more about this song, but it really has been amazing just how little I've been able to find out. But today I wanted to share with you guys what we do know about the song thus far, and possibly just one completely new piece of information, one new lead. As I've researched, I've only been able to come up with two actual, concrete, definite references to this song. The first and by far the most in-depth reference we have is from Paolo Hewitt, who both heard the song and wrote about it in his book Getting High, where he says this: "The band had moved into a new rehearsal space. This was at the Boardwalk in Manchester. They were given a room downstairs where they rehearsed maybe 2 or 3 nights a week, depending on their finances. Then they came to an arrangement with another group, Sister Lovers, to share the cost. Once that was done, Oasis were in there every night of the week, starting at 5 in the evening and finishing by 10 o'clock at night. To liven the place up, Bonehead brought in some paint and they would sporadically paint the back wall in the colours of the Union Jack. Noel had even written a song called The Red, White and Blue, and their fascination with the British flag caused a little consternation with some onlookers. For the group, their interest in the flag had been prompted by bands such as The Who early in their career had used the flag in an ironic pop art fashion. But, Noel said, because we were lads who liked drinking beer and going to football, no one thought we would be into art or anything like that. It was like this song I had, The Red, White and Blue. That song came about because one day I had gone down to Johnny Roadhouse, that's a guitar store in Manchester, to get some equipment. As I came out, there was some march going on. I'm standing there and this guy comes over and starts ranting at me for not taking any interest in his cause. I'm like, I'm arsed about your cause. All I want to do, mate, is be in a band. If this is your thing, then fine. I haven't got a problem with it. Live and let live. But leave me out of it. This guy just went on, so I wrote this song about how if you look a certain way, you instantly get labelled, and I called it Red, White and Blue. Which was also about how things like the Union Jack get hijacked, and if you use it, people will automatically think you're part of something you're not." Paolo continues, "The song was based around a riff not that dissimilar to Isaac Hayes' song Shaft, with Noel utilising his wah-wah pedal to maximum effect. But he soon shelved the song, saying, 'All the band really liked it, but I knew that if we played it, it would cause more trouble than it was worth, which is why it got sacked.'" So that is far and away the best source we have for any information whatsoever on this song. I think we can also confidently place the writing of this song in the Morning Glory era, circa 1995. Because I actually spoke to the real people who were heavily involved with Oasis in the era directly before that, during the early days and the Definitely Maybe era, and the real people had no memory of that song whatsoever. If it had been around then, odds are the real people would have heard of it. All the references we have to it, however, occur within the What's the Story Morning Glory era, so I think it's fair to say that's when it was written. The next step was to see if I could track down any copies of the lyrics or perhaps early drafts of the lyrics. I spoke to Kyle Dale, who is probably the #1 Oasis collector in the country, and unfortunately he didn't have a copy of the lyrics. I then also spoke to Brian Garcia, who is probably the #1 guy in America, and he didn't have a lyric sheet either, and he described the song as a unicorn, one of the rarest. However, online I did see a hint, a suggestion, that someone somewhere does have at least one of the lyric drafts to this song. It may have been included in one of the various Noel Gallagher songwriting notepads that have been auctioned down through the years. But if that's true, virtually no one has ever actually seen it. And because this is a song that gets talked about in Paolo's book but has never actually surfaced, it does get asked about quite a lot. Owen Morris, for example, was the producer for Oasis throughout the 90s when this song was kicking about. But his memory these days is not photographic, and whose is? But he was asked about it by David, who runs the fantastic Oasis Recording Info website. Here's how that chat went. David asked, Do you remember anything about the unreleased Oasis song, The Red, White and Blue? Any details would be great. It's mentioned briefly in Paolo Hewitt's book Getting High as being from around this period, but it doesn't say it was ever recorded. Owen replied, I didn't record it, but I hope I think I know. Noel Gallagher was unsure about the I hope I think I know up until the last. His alternate line was going to be OASIS. Possibly Red, White and Blue was an earlier option, but I really don't know, so don't take what I'm saying with any authority. David's website is absolutely excellent. I cannot recommend it highly enough to any fellow Oasis nerds. The link is in the description. So we saw there from Owen Morris's response that he couldn't really remember what the song was. He put forward a theory that it was I Hope I Think I Know, but he said he really wasn't 100%. And recently I was able to ask Nick Bryan, who was also there for the Morning Glory and Be Here Now sessions, about that song. Here's how that chat went. Oasis had a song that was mentioned in one of Paolo's books, and Noel spoke about it in a magazine interview, might have been Melody Maker or something, called The Red, the White and the Blue. And this was being tinkered with during Morning Glory and Be Here Now, but never appeared. Now, a lot of people think that that was I Hope I Think I Know, but I thought I would just ask, do you remember anything about that song? Did you ever hear it? Do you know what it was?
No, I don't. No, I mean, obviously it keeps cropping up. You keep reading about it. I remember at the time there being this song and that title, but I can't remember if it became I Hope I Think I Know. I don't think it did. I think it was just a song that we kind of tinkered with that never came to fruition, really. So just kind of, I don't know, because we never focused on it and because it wasn't like, it's not in my notes and all from the sessions, it's just something I don't really have much knowledge of, really.
Right. Well, that's interesting. Okay. That's the first time I've had a clear thing about I Hope I Think I Know. So you're pretty sure it wasn't that song?
Yeah.
Very interesting. Thank you. So, according to Nick there, we can discount the I Hope I Think I Know theory. And as you heard me mention there to Nick, there is also one other source for the song. I think it was from Melody Maker, and it was in between the band's 2 sessions at Rockfield. Oasis have already recorded 6 songs for their new album, due out later this year. Titles of the tracks the band have been working on are Champagne Supernova, All Around the World, The Red, White and Blue, and a song they unveiled at their Sheffield fan club show, provisionally titled Look Back in Anger. So, while the article got the name of a current song being worked on correct, it wrongly kind of implied that it was being worked on in the studio. Neither The Red, White and Blue or All Around the World were actually being recorded. So, at this point, realising no one had a lyric draft of the song, there were no recordings of the song, just nothing, I had only one option left. I decided to ask the one man who I 100% knew had definitely heard the song, Paolo Hewitt, the author of Getting High. I got in touch and I asked him about it, but unfortunately, as it was literally 30 years ago and just a really obscure piece of deep dive Oasis trivia, he also simply couldn't remember anything about it. But the hunt was still not over, because from the passage he wrote at the time, we have the clearest description available anywhere of what the song actually sounded like. And from that, I was able to find my one and only lead to possibly solving just a little of the mystery as to what this song became. In Paolo's account from 95, we get one single line describing the actual sound of the song, and it's this. The song was based around a riff not that dissimilar to Isaac Hayes' song Shaft, with Noel utilising his wah-wah pedal to maximum effect. Now, I found that line really interesting because there is literally no Oasis song at all that fits that description. The guitar part to Shaft is a pretty simple wah-wah riff with a bit of overdrive being played on the low E string. As I listened to that track all the way through, I couldn't match it up to any Oasis song anywhere. But then, a thought occurred to me. I remembered Noel Gallagher playing a lead guitar part that used a wah pedal with a bit of overdrive, also played on the low E string, on perhaps a slightly obscure collaboration he did in 1997. And when I listened to that, I realised, this might be it. And if it's not, at least for the time being, I think it's probably the only candidate. That song is called Temper Temper and it's by Goldie. It's a song on which Noel collaborated, contributing a guitar riff. It's a little faster than the Shaft riff, but other than that, they are very similar. They're in the same key, played in the same position on the neck, both using overdrive and both using a wah pedal, so you can understand how Paolo Hewitt would hear Noel's riff and say it's not dissimilar to the Shaft riff. And while of course it actually proves nothing whatsoever, it's also nonetheless interesting to note that Noel is playing a red, white and blue guitar in the video, his Union Jack Epiphone, the red, white and blue. Trying to research this song has actually been one of the most obscure and difficult things I've ever tried to do for this channel. There is just nothing out there, but the song 100% definitely did exist. There are rumours that someone out there does actually have a lyric sheet from one of the various Noel Gallagher notepads that have been auctioned off down through the years. But if that's true, those lyrics are not yet in the public domain. And while I suspect that is actually true, that someone somewhere does have a draft of these lyrics, having already asked multiple collectors and experts, I can't really be 100% sure that the lyrics even exist. So, unless an actual draft of the lyrics surfaces, I think the very best clue we have is that comment from Paolo about the theme from Shaft, and I think the very best candidate we have for what became of this song is Temper Temper by Goldie. A massive thank you to my Patreons for requesting this video. If you would like to have input to vote on future videos and make suggestions, go check out my Patreon at the link in the description, where you can sign up and support the channel. I have also just put up a Patreon exclusive video on there just showing behind the scenes at Rockfield Studios, where Oasis recorded Morning Glory, where Queen recorded A Night at the Opera, and where Coldplay recorded Parachutes. Me and my band have just been there for a few days. There's an exclusive video of that on Patreon and there's new stuff going on there every week. So thank you so much for watching. Please let me know down in the comments below if you have any further information about the red, white and blue. And as always, I'll see you next time.